Hi, this is Myra Tanksley, and I'm recording this on June the 14th, 2017. And I am the proud single parent of a 24-year-old with high functioning autism. His name is Marquis. And Marquis and I are victims of a very corrupt, greedy, incompetent, abusive uh, government system full of an army of corrupt government trash. Um, these people are the lowest of the low because they uh, use people that are disabled, like my son, to make money off of them while they allow them to be abused, neglected, and of course exploited by them and everybody in the system. Everybody makes money off of, like my son is autistic, and they got him in this rundown, tiny, small, in a terrible neighborhood townhome. It's so bad, the neighborhood's so bad, they even put up a lock metal black gate. And the townhome is just like one of those real small, tiny Section 8, no space, no privacy, it's just awful. But they make money off of people like my son who can't advocate for themselves. And there are some people out there that are like my son that are solo. They don't really have any family members around or anything like that. But then when they do have some family members around, like me, I advocate for my son, expose and what's going on with him, and speak up about his mistreatment and abuse and neglect. They'll push you out. So these people are just scum, every one of them. The lawyers, the judges, the um, I call them lying lawyers, abusive agencies, and corrupt courts. Oh my, all of them, because that's what they're doing. Because it wouldn't be so bad if they abused a little bit of human on earth power, because I'm a Christian, and so is my son Marquis, and we know that God's got this. He told me he's already handled, and when the day comes, God has his own time and date when he does things. So I believe 1,000% that Marquis will be coming back home to live with me, Jesus' way, Jesus' time. But if these people were so ethical, why are these people being abused so bad? Because just look at my son. If you don't look at no other cases, and I got 3 Facebook pages full of evidence, and so I'm not full of hot air, and neither is Marquis. And it's not just our imagination. All he has suffered has been abuse, neglect, and exploitation. So if they were so ethical, why are these people being abused and treated badly, and being neglected and treated real badly? Because he's been abused and neglected in many, many ways. And that's just some of the things that I do know about and have been able to capture the evidence in the way of pictures, documents, recordings. But God is with him, and God said, he ain't going through what he's going through because he deserves it. I don't think he's deserving of any of that stuff. And just because somebody mistreats you don't mean you deserve it. My son ain't done nothing to them people. He's not a criminal, and they have treated him worse than an inmate. God said even these inmates get visits and phone calls from the family. And I haven't done nothing to him either except for speak out as a mother that loves my son. And it's always had baffled me. I said, why do they think because I'm black, I don't have the same motherly feelings, or I'm not capable of loving my son as much as they love their children? I said, I love my son just as much as they love their children. But you don't have to do nothing to people, especially evil people, for them to act a fool on you. They do what they do because they're corrupt and just full of evil and hate and all that kind of stuff. I said, look at Jesus. You think he deserved to be treated the way he was treated? But God the Father knew that he was doing that on behalf of mankind's sin. Jesus was without sin, but yet he was numbered with the transgressors. And the Bible tells us, that he was numbered with the transgressors and that he was without sin. But just because somebody mistreats you don't mean you deserve it. And there's plenty of people that lived and died and have already been on this earth where they have been mistreated and they were innocent. But it was these sick, evil, wicked people full of hate, prejudice, whatever, People have lost their lives because they were different from other people or different skin color, but it's not them. And all those people have to answer to God. And if people don't think hell don't exist, they can go ahead and go in the Bible and see what Jesus told us, not just the disciples, how hell is. The story of Lazarus, the beggar, and the rich man, and how the rich man lifted his eyes up in Hades and was in torment and pain and then begged uh, Abraham, who Lazarus is in the bosom of Abraham. I might as well just tell you what it says. And said, can you send Lazarus down here? Just let him dip his finger in water and cool my tongue. I'm in torment in this place. I'm in pain. And Abraham said, well, you had the luxury of life when you were alive while he was a beggar. And he laid at your gate wanting to get um, some crumbs from your table. And even the dogs were licking his sores. But Abraham was telling him, the rich man that lifted up his eyes in hell or Hades, that you had a good life while you were on earth. Now you're suffering, and now Lazarus is in paradise. He's in peace. He's fine. And then he said, besides, there's a, whatever you want to call it, but there's a separation that nobody from hell can get to heaven, and nobody from heaven can get to hell. That once you're there, but it tells us an illustration of what hell is about. A lot of people think that, because the devil got people deceived thinking there ain't no hell. But for the ones that do believe it's hell, they think you go down there and you burn up, you don't feel anything. But you want to be alive forever, whether you're in heaven or hell. And it lets us know, Jesus actually gives a description of hell in this story that he told us. And we know that it's internal, and you're in pain, and you're in torment while you're in that place. So, and that nobody can go from hell to heaven and cross over. There's a permanent separation. So I take it from Jesus. If Jesus says it exists, hell does exist, people. And so does, the Bible tells us about different sin. That's why people can't tell me injustice don't exist. The Bible's full of God speaking out about that. Do people that he, inspired to write, prophets or whatever. But there's a lot about injustice and prejudice and racism and hate and all types of sin is in the Bible. If God says it exists, you better, acknowledge it for what it is. And people will be judged on that. I don't have to judge anybody because God is the judge, but he tells us in his word what's right, what's wrong. And like he tells us about, there's a description, many descriptions of heaven. And there are descriptions of hell spoken by Jesus himself. So believe it, it exists. So, getting back to what I was saying, you don't have to be a bad person to be treated like an animal or crap or abused and neglected because you got such wicked, evil people in this world. And we all have sinned and came short of glory of God. That's why we all need Jesus. So we all know that. But really, really terrible things can happen to pretty decent people. Just like they took my guardianship away. It doesn't mean that they had the right to do it. It doesn't mean that it was something that needed to be done. Just because they take your guardianship away doesn't mean it was right. And it wasn't. Because I ain't abused or neglected my son. I've been a practicing RN for, I'm going to say 31 years now. I doubt if I could be a RN, a practicing nurse, and be somebody that would abuse my son or any other individual. I doubt if I could practice nursing if I, was guilty of abuse and neglect. But just because they take, your guardianship away doesn't mean it's always true. There's innocent people in prison. There's guilty people in prison. So I have created 3 Facebook pages, and the title of them are, and I always give this background, is the first one was that I created was the abuse and neglect of autistic Marquis Tanksley by the government. The second one was justice for autistic Marquis Tanksley. And the third one is the audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley, his suffering, abuse, and neglect. And that's what I'm doing now. I haven't been allowed to see him since March the 15th, 2015. The last time he was allowed to call me was May the 13th, 2017. Because if my son don't call me, it ain't because he don't want to. It's because they don't allow him to. They're so afraid of what he's going to tell me. Because he's done told me a lot of things. Because they don't tell me nothing because they know that I'm going to expose it. So the way to get rid of um, the African American mother that exposes them is to move me out legally where they don't have to tell me anything that happens to him. They don't have to tell me. So they appointed one of their very own evil, corrupt attorneys. And like I said, these people are the lowest of the low. I said, because anytime you take somebody's money, because they get SSI money for the so-called wars, and you allow them to be living in a rundown, in poverty and abuse and neglected. I mean, everything about his situation is poverty. Is lower level. The economic thing, the way he lives, the people he's around. He's treated like an animal. And you taking the money, and you're the lowest of the low. That's why they don't like. They don't want to talk to me or see me or deal with me and stuff, guys. Because the way I feel, I'm looking at human garbage. I mean, you're just the lowest of the low to do that to people that can't advocate for themselves. And how many more? How many more developmentally disabled individuals? And it doesn't matter whether they're autistic or if they're mentally retarded, they don't have nobody. Or they do have a family member that's been pushed out legally and don't have contact. They don't want you to see what's going on with them. They don't want you to, if they can tell you things, they don't want you to talk to them. They don't want you to find out anything. And I'm going like, I don't have to, Marquis doesn't have to tell me much anything because I'd already seen my son be abused and neglected. I've seen him get assaulted, beaten. I've seen the different signs of abuse, the different signs of neglect, dirty clothes, the clothes that wasn't his, unexplained new injuries. Seen this guy punch him in the chest, heard him get verbally abused, physically abused. I'm past that. Already, and that's what I got the pages for. And nobody has sent me a letter telling me you're full of hot air, you're slandering this person, cease and desist. I ain't gonna get one either because I'm telling the truth. And that's why I like to do it. I'm an evidence girl. I do it with the evidence. So those 3 pages are on Facebook. The last one is the audio tape page. That's the page that I'm putting these audio videos on. Because I said I'm going to let people hear, because my son is high functioning, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to let people hear from Marquis's own mouth how he feels. And right now, this tape is from February the 25th, 2012. So I got 4 more years to go. I got many, 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 many more recordings to post. And I call them audio videos because they go on YouTube, and then I also put it on the audio page. But they usually don't have any videos. They usually, 99% of the time, there's audio. But I do have the last time that I have seen my son, and it was because of my efforts. I actually knew that he would be going out to an appointment because he has counseling, not because of me and him, but because of what the school did to him. When he was in Columbus City School, that district was throwing him in a seclusion closet, which was traumatizing him, and they were doing it for non-compliance because they didn't know how to actually manage autistic students. You don't have them in a whole lot of environmental noise, and he was going in sensory overload. The staff wasn't trained. The stuff I've seen over the years is just ridiculous. I filed a complaint with the Ohio Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Education. U.S. Department of Education found the school district guilty, told them they have to pay for a whole year for my son's counseling, and that they owe him compensatory education. So that's the reason why he's going to counseling. And he told me, because there's a lot of things that he has told me that they won't tell me. He's the one that told me that he had to go every Tuesday and Thursday to a doctor and get light treatments because his skin was itchy, and it was all over his body, like on his back, arms, hands, his legs. It's adamant. He's the one who told me about that. And then the last time I talked to him, May 13th, he said it was gone. I said, well, praise Jesus. He said he still had itchy skin. But anyway, he's the one that told me about this counseling thing. That he was going Wednesday. He told me the date, but I found out about it when I called a gal named Vanessa who works for the U.S. Department of Education, the Cleveland office. The Lord just kind of told me to call her, and that's when she spilled the beans and said that Sanford, which is the corrupt uh, attorney that they appointed to be his limited guardian. She hates my guts, but she's a racist. She's just pure trash, just government trash. You know, you got and the Lord is just showing all the government trash in this country. You know, starting from Washington D.C. on down. I said, them people are so corrupt because they don't have no oversight, and they used to getting away and doing the dirt behind scenes and everything. I mean, but they're no better than these criminals out in the street to me. They're just legalized criminals. So this legalized criminal, which is an attorney by the name of Aaron Sanford, and already I got two other different reports on her. But anyway, her name is Aaron Sanford, and so uh, when I talked to Vanessa, the employee for the U.S. Department of Education, she told me that the school district told her, because, you know, the school district didn't care nothing about Marquis, but they want to make sure they keep getting their federal funds for the feds and stuff. And so they told them, because there was two things they had to do. Three things. They stopped them from using that seclusion room, but it was like a little seclusion closet. Then they had to give him compensatory education and give him this counseling and pay for it for a whole year. Well, the school district told the U.S. Department of Education that Sanford wouldn't even answer their requests. And Vanessa said, and they showed us, they gave us proof that they had been trying to get her to respond for a counselor and that she would never answer the request. And they sent many, many requests. So much for the guardian, for the ward. And she said, so he's not having counseling right now. Plus, we don't know if he can graduate because the school district told us that he needs a couple more credits. So after I found that out, I called and left a message for Sanford because she never talks to me because she's a coward. And so I left a message in voicemail. I said, the school district told on you to the feds. What a sorry guardian you are. That they have been sent. At least you could have, you know, called back, wrote a letter, email, whatever. Any form of communication. Say, look, I got your request. I'm looking. But they said you wouldn't even respond back. And they said that you did it over and over again. So after that, I received a letter from her talking about it was a long process. But she finally found a counselor for her. But the school district told on her. So she wouldn't even respond back to them. So they had sent numerous requests. And Vanessa said that the school district proved it. So they probably sent the feds some, I don't know, probably all the letters they sent her. But she is just a piece of scum. I mean, that woman's a witch. And then she lies too. And then the Ohio Supreme Court Disciplinary Council. When I look at them people, I just see pure garbage. They're no better than seeing somebody out on the street. And matter of fact, they're even worse. I said, because that's anytime you're a lying lawyer and you're supposed to have, um, uh, just like nurses have, you know, ethics and stuff, and you're supposed to work on the ethics for your profession, and you're going to lie on people and practice all kind of, you know, corruption and bribery and stuff. They're disgusting. It's just like looking at human garbage. I know Jesus died for them, so I might see them up in the air too, you know, and stuff. But if they not, they're going to be one of those rich men or rich women that are down in hell in torment. Because, you know, because these people got it easy in this life unless God decides to put them down. Because they have no oversight. Everybody is scratching each other's back and going along to get along. And, you know, the unpopular thing to do is call each other out for all the dirt and corruption that they do. and they're very wicked, wicked, sick people. So when I called or sent a grievance or complaint to Ohio Disciplinary Council of the Ohio Supreme Court, they refused to even acknowledge that Sanford, because I told them two things. I said, she's abusing, neglecting, and exploiting my son, letting other people do it, abuse and neglect my son, exploit him, because everybody make money, they're all the little governor, the county board makes money, and then this agency makes money off of the so-called client, but the clients, I said, don't come to me with that. Come to me with the truth. That's why people ain't gonna sit down and look at me across from a table. I said, they're not a client if you're allowing them to live that way and you're letting people abuse them and you're abusing them. Everybody makes money. So I told them that she was a pissy poor, so-called limited guardian, and that she lied on me. And that's a no-no, because an attorney is not allowed to lie to a client and lie to the court. And that's what she was doing. And I said she did it more than once. They wouldn't even acknowledge that. I said, and I called that woman up. I said, well, and I didn't get to talk to her. It was a voicemail, the one they had signed, the one that sent me the letter. So I called her back. And I said, well, I said, you people are just sickening. You're that scum that God talks about in the Bible, because when he's talking about injustice, he ain't talking about the average Joe in the street. He's talking about all you people that work in the court system. That's what he's talking about. And he's sick of you. But, you're that human scum that, oppresses people, uh, cheat people out of their rights. You get mad when people stand up and tell you, that you're practicing injustice, because God says you're in practicing injustice, and they're all in denial, but they all go along to get along. But I didn't get nothing back and stuff, but they wasn't going to do nothing to her. Because Sanford might be her sister-in-law, or you never know who knows who, who's married in the family, who's friends, networking. I said, it's just shame. It's just shameful. So I don't have no respect for the government, and especially attorneys. I said, all attorneys are not bad. I don't know all of them, but maybe the civil rights one. But I said, honey, these government attorneys ain't nothing but pure scum. Look at that cheat they got. That's Attorney General of the U.S. and stuff. I said, that man can't even tell the truth and stuff. I said, pure scum. And think they're better than you are and stuff. But only people that cannot accept the truth will, deny a lot of things. Because there's people around here, it's right in front of their face, they still will deny it. And this country is full of a lot of people that are in denial, especially about the racism in this country. But God's been putting it out front and center. But God even says, the prejudice and hatred and all that stuff exists. So if he says it exists, and people better, whether you want to, because God's going to judge people on that. We all have to answer to the way we have treated other people. When Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and then he gave this thing about the Good Samaritan, the parable of the Good Samaritan. He said, I don't care if he's not of the same group. He told that man, he said, who was the neighbor to him? He said, the first God. He said, go and do likewise. If you done it to the least of my brethren, Jesus said, then you done it to me. People will be judged on that. So you can deny it all you want right now, but you're going to have to answer to it. And then I also say racism, because of I always have been accused when I got contacted, the government, and was looking for services and stuff, of escalating my son. I said, huh? What do you mean escalating my son? I said, these idiots don't, if they knew about autism, they wouldn't have said that to me. But it was racism, because I said, I know they ain't telling these white parents that, when autistic individuals, might get aggressive or have behaviors or do behaviors that are basically because they're autistic people. And I said, he's venting to me, not because of me. I said, maybe if you people wouldn't have treated him like a dog. And that's why I got these tapes out here. I said, because people can hear in their own words, my son telling me, over and over again how much he loves me. I said, so that, because they they're sick and they want to break this black family up, make it dysfunctional, like we get the son, say the son hates his mother and she don't know how to. I'm RN, I'm a registered nurse. Not only do I know about autism, but it just boggles your mind. But I'm saying racism, I said, because same situation, when the white autistic individuals are having whatever type of behavior, I bet they're not saying to the white mom and dad, you're escalating your son or daughter. I bet they're not saying it, but they're going to say it to the black mother. And I said, well, if they knew about autism, I don't think they would be saying that. If they wasn't racist, I don't think they would be saying that. But he vents to me not because of me. And maybe if they treated him like a human being, then maybe he wouldn't be telling me he wants to go home. And I used to say, well, do they know that they done isolated him, put him in sensory overload? So by the time I would get over there to visit, he would be so agitated and overloaded and triggered that he would just start venting to his mother. Mom, take me out of here. I want to leave. And I got it over and over and over again. Not on just one tape, not just one date or one incident. Over and over again, he tells me, I miss you. I want to go back home. I want out of here. This place sucks. I got to leave. Take me home, Mom. So why is that? Why is he telling me that? For one thing, I'm his mother, and he knows that I love him unconditionally, and he knows he's going to vent to me. But why does he want to leave so bad? Could it be because of the staff and the environment and the other residents were treating my son so bad that they were ignoring his needs as an autistic resident or autistic individual, that he couldn't wait to get out of there? He wasn't happy there. He was sad there. He was traumatized there. He was terrorized by the noise, by the staff, the residents. He was beaten. So why wouldn't he tell his mother that? Mom, take me out of here. And that's why I said, you idiots are not going to speak for my son. Marquis can speak for himself. And I got it all captured on tape. I got them on tape too. I got recordings of, my conversations with all the government scum on tape. But this is about Marquis. And in his own words, you can hear him tell me his feelings and describe abuse and neglect. And on this particular tape, he just tells me, Mom, I'm tired of missing you. I want to leave this place. I want to go home. Quickly get me all out of here. And it's because of the way they were treating him. It's the way he was having to live in an environment that wasn't conducive, that didn't support him, that was abusive to him, that neglected him. Because on the first part of this, he was talking about how hungry he was. And I said, well, you go ahead and I don't play the whole conversation because some of the conversations are long. I just play the parts where Marquis, in his own words, his own mouth, his own voice, telling me, he said, I'm hungry. I said, well, go ahead and get you something to eat. But then I'm tired of missing you. Now, this was when he was at Columbus Developmental Center. And that's the state of Ohio operated ICF MR facilities. And there's a few of them around the state. And ICF MR, if you don't know, means Intermediate Care Facility for the Mentally Retarded. But they didn't know anything about autism. Didn't know anything. And I said, half of it is having the right kind of personality, because a lot of people, like I had to tell staff, they hated my guts because they don't want you around to see how they abuse and neglect those residents over there. They hated my guts. They didn't even want me there. And that's the reason why they took that. Well, we got to get her guardianship away from her so we don't have to tell her nothing when nothing happens. We ain't got to deal with her and stuff. Because Mom don't keep her mouth shut. I said, because I love my child as much as they love their kids. But when I would go over there, the staff resented me being there because they know that you could see, I mean, if you just could walk in that place and be invisible. It would be just a disgrace. But they done had investigations by newspapers in the past, where even the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabled or Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, ODODD, they even admit that they have staff that abuse those residents. Not Kentucky, but Cincinnati. I think it was the Cincinnati Enquirer a few years ago when Taft was the governor of the state of Ohio. They did a wonderful investigation. Even the state ODODD, they admit to, the residents being abused and neglected. It's a shame. Crimes, they're stolen from. Marquis has been stolen from. I bought numerous times just all kind of different sets of clothes, brand new sets of clothes, shorts and t-shirts and, you know, uh, long sleeve uh, sweatshirts, and I bought sweatpants, you just name it, and 98% of those clothes he never got to wear. I can prove it. I used to have him sign in for it, and they refused to stop the sign in for it after I would ask him, "Where's the new clothes that I brought my son? Why ain't he wearing them? We wearing it stuff that don't even belong to him, that's old, tattered, and used, and don't even fit." And but I still wrote it down, took pictures and stuff, so I could prove everything I say, everything, and they know it, all proven. So they even admit to the abuse and neglect, when it gets out in the newspaper. So anyway, this was February 25th, 2012, at Columbus Development. He was over at Columbus Developmental Center, and it was a voluntary admission at that time. He was there for 47 days while they modified the walls in our house. Then the second time, when they illegally committed him over there, because to illegally, well, to what I want to say, civilly commit or involuntarily commit a resident to one of those ICF MR facilities, they must be moderately retarded. Marquis is not moderately retarded. He's not even moderately autistic. He's high functioning autistic. And those tapes start in December of 2012 um, up to February 2013 is when you actually hear these tapes very, very clearly. Because right now, even this tape today, up till February 2013, they were recorded on a mini cassette, and they're not that clear. The clarity is not that great. But starting in February 2013, I think February or March 2013, I start recording them on a voice recorder on a smartphone. And so you would definitely be able to hear them a lot better. So this was at Columbus Developmental Center, and he tells me that he's hungry. And I said, go ahead and get you something to eat, because they wouldn't, a lot of times he would be hungry because there's things that they would fix that he didn't like. And, because with autistic individuals, most of those residents over there are mentally retarded. They're not autistic. And they're two different, actually, they're very different. They're very different. Because a mentally retarded person doesn't have those sensory issues like an autistic person can have. And they can, have problems with all the senses. They can have sensory integration problems. All five senses, including taste and texture. So there's things that my son didn't like because of the taste, very sensitive to taste, or even the texture, how it felt on his tongue. And he shouldn't have never been there because that place is more geared towards mentally retarded people. But see, he's high functioning. And I said, my son has feelings. There's things he loves his mother. He's got a mother that he knows loves him. He loves his mother. And see, they're trying to, like I said, I haven't seen him in over 2 years. They haven't allowed us to visit. And God's going to punish these people for that because God has designed a family. But he's got feelings. He's got a longing to be with his mother and spend time with his mother and have companionship. And they're trying to break that up. I said, these people are just pure wicked government filth. And I'll say it on here, I'll say it to their face. Nobody gonna say nothing to me. Because I'll just show people the hand as a matter of fact, a better way of speaking, or I'll just refer them to the Facebook pages. Go there and see what I mean. You go and learn what that means when you go look at those Facebook pages. Because they ain't make believe. I ain't painted a picture. I ain't hired actors to get on the recordings or anything. But he was just, treated like crap there. Then in March, giving you some more background, he came out in March 2015 to this rundown, and the Lord let me know where he was. And the Lord had shown me, a couple of visions and stuff, because the Lord let me know I write in this thing. He said, but do you don't, he said, I don't want you calling Sanford, and none of those, don't send another complaint, a grievance, or nothing. He said, you step back and let me handle this thing. Then he said, as a matter of fact, Myra, they're already handled. The situation's already handled. He said, what you can do is pray for them because they're going to need it. Because he showed me that he put David Belinke's light out, another evil government scum attorney. And the Lord let me know that that man was dead and gone by making me go get a newspaper. He wanted me to find out that that man was gone. And he said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. When I seen his name in the obituaries. Because I never get a newspaper. That day, he made me turn around Walmart and get it. So God's all in this thing. He said, I don't want you to call them evil people. Don't fight with them evil people. Don't send no more complaints or grievances or whatever the little human ways of doing things and stuff. He said, because I already got this thing handled. He said, but pray for them because they're going to need it. Because you can't outbox God. And a lot of people forget about God's will. Is that God's will for Marquis to keep living his life like that? But God will turn it into a testimony. Because he ain't going through that stuff because Jesus thinks, and I believe Jesus is God in the flesh. So when I say God, I'm talking about Jesus. He ain't going through that because Jesus thinks he deserves it. Jesus ain't trying to punish him. But God will take it and turn it into a testimony. But he said pray for them because they're going to need it. But a lot of people forget that God has a will, especially for Christians. You got to be careful when you mess with a Christian. Because when Jesus said, okay, that's it, no more of this stuff, you better hope you ain't trying to outbox God. You might as well just step onto the side because it's going to be God's way. And God has a way of dealing with people in a lot of different ways when it comes to that point in time when he says it's going to happen. They're not going to be able to keep Marquis no longer than the day that God has already handled it. Because he said, I done already handled this thing. At the point in time, he's coming home. If I want him home, ain't nothing on that planet going to be able to stop it. Sometimes God will just move people out of the way. Sometimes he'll put their lights out. The Bible's full of how God deals with people, especially evil people, that they're not in God's will. And just read for yourselves. So I know he's coming home, and I believe it, and Marquis believes it too. But they've been trying to break our bond up. These are very wicked, sick people. And I said, no, he loves his mother, and he's going to keep on loving his mother. And I don't know why they think, what, I'm supposed to walk away because my son is right now kidnapped by a very wicked, sick system full of wicked, sick, evil people that happen to be in the government jobs and in courts and stuff. I said, I'm not going to walk away. I love my baby. Love him, love him, love him. And I'm looking forward to him being back in this house with his mother where he belongs. But I ain't going to take on an army full of people. There's certain things only God can do. And I think as Christians, we can learn that in our lives. Where he'll take on the government or the country or the army or whatever. Only God can do those things where, well, he could do anything that we cannot do. We could do all that we can do, then we step back, hand it to God, let him handle it. But he told me it's already handled. I got the date set, but we got to always remember it's God's way and in his own time. God has an appointed time for everything. And just because you ain't seen it happening yet don't mean it ain't going to happen. It means the date hasn't came yet. When the date comes, you'll see it happen. It will be there. It will. It will happen. So anyway, on the audio tape page is where I'm putting these audio videos. Please check out that video of the last time I seen Marquis, which was July the 8th, 2015. It is heartbreaking because I hadn't seen him for 3 months. He hadn't seen me, and he wanted me to stay with him. And he was going to the car to go to that counseling appointment that was ordered by the U.S. Department of Education. And he begged me to stay, and they tried to get him to go off on me, and took him back across and lied on him and everything. I said, these people are just pure scum. And like I said, that's what you are. And ain't nobody gonna say that I'm lying or wrong and stuff, because I get the evidence. I show what they do. I just don't so-called complain about it, or in human words bitch about it and stuff. I put it out there. I let people see what I'm talking about. And I believe that, when all said and done, they'll know God is on the throne. Me and Marquis is going to live the life that Jesus wants us to live. They're not going to be able to interrupt that destiny. Because one thing, all of this is working out for our good. It all works out for your good. Everything, I don't care how bad it is, it works out for your good if you call according to the purpose of God, and if you love God. And I told Marquis, because he used to think that he had done something wrong, especially when he first went over to that state facility. Like, what did I do wrong? Did I do nothing? You ain't done nothing. I said that Jesus ain't done nothing when they did. He wasn't a criminal. Just because somebody treats you wrong don't mean you done anything wrong. It means something's wrong with them. But he used to think that, what did I do to merit to be treated like an animal? I said, you ain't done nothing wrong. I said, these are sick people in our lives. He doesn't ask me that anymore. Because I told him, I said, you're wonderful. You got it going on. I said, I love you. I'm proud of you. And I told him how wonderful he is. I said, you're smart, you're handsome, you're a wonderful athlete. I said, you don't have to do anything wrong for sick people to treat you like that, or treat you like a savage. They treat you like an animal because they're animals. And you got it in government too. And God is showing this country up. That's the reason why you got Trump in there. And I feel sorry for him, because he ain't going to know what hit him. He going to have a nervous breakdown by the time he get out of that office. But God will allow evil people. He'll deal with evil. Because Jesus will come back and clean all this mess up. He got to clean up the hate, the corruption, and bad governments and bad people. He'll clean it all up. So God doesn't condone or like evil and hate and all that kind of stuff. He's got his own point of time when he'll clean all this mess up here on earth. Peace on earth, goodwill to man, when Jesus was born that night. But in the meantime, there'll be evil people that God will use, just like the Antichrist. Jesus is going to come back and destroy him, but for 7 years, he's going to be allowed to act a fool on this earth because of people rejecting Jesus and hating on their fellow man. But God doesn't, and he'll show people how he feels about sin and hatred and stuff when he comes back here and clean this mess up. But this country's going down because it's been so hypocritical. Everybody in denial. Most people about racism and, in God we trust and all this kind of stuff. It's been a very hypocritical, very racially sick country. And everybody wants to deny it, blame the victims and stuff like that. And it's been a mockery of Christianity. It's never been a Christian nation. So, but with that, as a Christian, I know God is in control. He's in control of, I've seen him bless me something terrible. And he says, I'm going to bless your son more than I bless you. He said, but Marquis ain't forgotten about. I got the date, and I'm going to bring him back home. Pray for his enemies, because they're going to need it. So with that, let me go ahead and play this. And like I said, it's just a snippet of him telling me he was hungry. A lot of times he'd be hungry, because they would fix something that he couldn't eat. He couldn't tolerate. And they wouldn't be willing to fix him something that he could eat, And then, of course, he's telling me how much he misses me. You're not going to be able to destroy his love for his mother. They're still trying to do it. Well, maybe if we don't let him see her and stuff, I can forget about her. He ain't gonna forget about me no more than he's that I can forget about him. But the Lord did make sure that he was able to call me the day before Mother's Day, because the Lord knows I hadn't heard from him for 5 months. December 10th, 2016 was the last time he was allowed to call me. But right before Mother's Day, I looked over and the phone rung and it was him. He said, Happy Mother's Day. And I praised Jesus. I said, I love you. And he said, I love you. And, we prayed again and stuff. But, the Lord knew I needed to hear from my son. And I miss him every day. I'm holding on to Jesus on this boat, because we're going to get to the other side. We're going through this storm, but we're going to get through the other side because Jesus is on the boat. And he's the only one that can give me peace and give Marquis peace. But he said, it's handled. The date is coming. I got a will for your son's life. I don't care what Aaron Sanford and the government has for his life. I have a will for your life and his life. And I said, it's going to be done. He said, it's going to be done. He said, I already got the appointed date. And a lot of people forget that. God ain't trying to work nothing out. It's already been handled. And when the day comes, they'll see, everybody will see that God, Jesus is on the throne and he brought Marquis back home. So, but that's how I make it, because I miss him so much. And I yearn for him to be here and I think anybody can understand that there's a mother or a father that misses their child or yearn to see their children every day. Well, I have the same feelings. And Jesus said, I got this thing. Don't you worry about it. So without further ado, you'll hear this recording from February the 25th, 2012. Marquis telling me he was hungry, then just telling me he misses me and he wants to leave so bad. And that's because of the way they were treating him. And besides, because he misses and loves his mother. He has a desire to spend time with his mother that he loves and knows that loves him. It's emotional abuse, it's emotional neglect. He's been physically abused, physically neglected, medically abused and neglected. You just name it. You know, you just name it. He has really, really suffered. But Jesus is with him. He's with him now. But I said, I'm going to tell the story. And ain't no scum out there. John Kasich, Mike DeWine, uh, Robert Montgomery, Aaron Sanford, that trash that works for the Consumer Support Services, the agency, that old nasty woman named Rosie that tried to get my son to go off on me, Christina, whatever her name is. I can just go down the line. Nobody gonna say nothing to me because I got the truth. But is it true? Is it true? Is there evidence on these Facebook pages? And the Facebook pages ain't going no place either. Unless he just tells me to take them down, and he hasn't told me that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this. I apologize for the sound. It's not that clear. But anyway, February 25th, 2012, Columbus Developmental Center, my son expressing his feelings to me, saying how he was hungry, how he was tired of missing me, that he wanted to go home quickly, and he wants to leave this place. And that's because the place was so abusive to him, and it wasn't like home, that's for sure. So and it didn't have to be like home, but when you got a place that's just ignoring your needs, as the individual you are, too noisy, staff terrorizing, traumatizing, residents terrorizing and traumatizing, not getting enough to eat, getting yelled and screamed at, and it was just awful. No wonder he wanted to be back home with a mother that he loved and that loved him. So here we go. So you can hear him just tell me he loved me, and of course he waiting for me, and that he wanted to leave this place. He said that he was hungry. He was hungry now. That's when I had talked to him on the phone in the morning, when he told me that he hadn't had no breakfast. He was hungry. Uh, that he want to leave this place. He's got to get out of this place, and it's because of the way they were treating him, and the environment wasn't right for him, for his individual needs. And as a person with autism, and then his bond, and they're still trying to destroy that bond. He loves his mother, and his mother loves her son. So it's just terrible. And I'll play it one more time, and so that you can hear it. But it his feelings, his feelings. So there's a lot of times he was hungry. A lot of times, he was traumatized, and it's just awful. They just treated him like an animal. And like I said, the last time he was allowed to call me was the day before Mother's Day, May the 13th, 2017, after not being allowed to call me December the 10th, 2016. And my son always tells me, you know, I'll call you tomorrow, because they'll hurry up and tell him get off the phone, don't want him to spill the beans to his mother. And he'll say, I'll call you tomorrow. So if he could call me every day, all day long, and talk to me, he would. And he would be back home and stuff. I said, so you ain't going to speak for my son, but I call that trash out for what they are. I said, they all government trash, from the governor on down. And I got emails where I called the governor when Marquis was being abused years ago. Nothing. I think one of the most silly teenage daughters of him, some young girl answered the phone and stuff, of trying to get smart and stuff. I said, no, let's not go there. And I don't know if I taped that. I might have taped that. But I got some emails. Franklin County Board of DD, that's a number trash over there. They hate my guts and stuff and everything. That's the trash that lied and told the corrupt probate court that my son was mildly retarded, to get probate court to uh, uh, commit him, involuntarily commit him. And then the state of Ohio psychologist at the time, I think his name was Steve Pruitt or whatever, he was corrupt, but he did say that Marquis he was corrupt later on. He didn't stick by his story, but he said Marquis didn't belong there because he wasn't a low-level resident. He wasn't mildly retarded. We had too much high functioning. They still went ahead and involuntarily committing. Oh, I got stories. I got so much, and evidence to back it up, evidence to back it up. I got that written on paper that he wrote and stuff. But, so, and then I said the main thing, I got Marquise. I got Marquise's, voice and feelings right here on these recordings. I said, so people want to hear how he feel about it. I said, because I don't even have to speak for my son. He's able to speak for himself. But I told him at a meeting with Marquise, I said, Marquise doesn't have to tell me he's being abused and neglected. I said, don't insult my intelligence. I can look at him and see that he's being abused and neglected. I said, there ain't no parent that love their son or daughter will want to come in a place like I have and see him the way I've seen him. I said, I can look at him and tell he's being neglected and abused. But I will always hold it together. I had to encourage him, keep him strong. But I'm glad he does tell mama things. I said, he has a right to vent his feelings to me as his mother. If he don't like something, if he hates something, if he loves something, he got a right to tell me. But if y'all didn't treat him like that, he wouldn't be giving me that message. So here it is one more time that you can hear, and then that should be it. So you can tell that he loves his mom. You know, he's very bonded to me because I'm such a good mother to him. But he said, you know, I miss my mom. I'm tired of missing you. I want to get out of this place. I want to get out of here. I'm tired of missing you. I want to leave this place. He said he was, you know, hungry. He had to get something to eat because he's hungry now. I mean, it's just, you just can hear it out of his own mouth. I said, so for this scum to sit up here, Aaron Sanford and the probate court and consumer support services and Franklin County Board of DD and that trash that works there, from the director all the way down to the so-called whatever they call themselves, um, SSA and stuff. You know, I said, you can't break up Marquis's bond with me, and you can't destroy his love for me. I said, because this is from his own mouth. I said, you people ought to, you know, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night to sit up and try to break up a loving family bond between a wonderful, loving mother and a wonderful young man that happens to have autism right now, because I believe God's going to go ahead and take care of that too. But God is in control, and He's going to show you, when all said and done, that He was in control of this situation. And may God have mercy on your souls. I said, because God can do you like David Belinky or hit you in your way with your family when you mistreat people. And I'm here to tell you, you know, that, you know, you don't mess around with God's will. And sometimes, you know, He'll just raise up the right kind of people so that when you mess with their situation, their family, God will speak through people to let you know that He's got a message for you for the way that you've been treating people. Because David Belinky had been doing that for a long time. He even said he had been so-called running over people in court and stuff. God got tired of it and put His light out. And within a year of him telling me that, that man was dead and gone. And it just happened all of a sudden. He wasn't in the hospital lingering with an illness or anything like that. God just said enough is enough. So anyway, there you have it. If you go to the justice page and abuse and neglect page, start at the very beginning. Don't start with the most recent post. And that's where I got a lot of the pictures and all that kind of stuff. That's the reason why. Another reason why they don't want me to see them, because they know I collect evidence. And then this will be in the YouTube channel under Myra Tanksley, and it'll also be on the audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley is suffering abuse and neglect. And Jesus is Lord. Marquis, I love you. I miss you. Think about you all the time, every day. But God has you, and He has His handle. And I'm looking forward to you coming back home, being with me, and living the life that God wants you to live. And Jesus is Lord. And thank you for listening.